Hi, this is Peggy Van Zalm, and you are listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on 3SCR KC Radio. Whatever happened to the fairy princess? She got kidnapped by reality police.
How did that come about as a youngster?
As a youngster? I guess I've always liked singing, but in a way the interest might have been started by a teacher who used to always encourage me, and my mother, who gave me a guitar when I was 11. So that was it, really. And I used to just play around with that, and it wasn't until much later, though, that I really took it up with a bit more zest. Alongside, when I was at art school, and I used to just play guitar and make up songs for myself, really. Being rather shy, it's kind of funny. It just didn't really take off until I think when I finished my art course, and then I was sort of left with these feelings of still being not quite fulfilled or something. And really the expression, well, the best sort of expression was the music, and that sort of came out as a realisation later, I think.
So there was no particular defining moment in time where you sort of found that art wasn't the direction you wanted to continue with, and you decided to go for music?
Yeah, I think it was, even when I finished my art course, it still felt sort of empty, and what I kept on turning to was the actual music, and writing songs that started out for myself. But I don't know. It just when I realised that doing the visual art, just something still wasn't quite clicking for me. Mm-hmm. But there was like, okay, what I really want to do is sing and play music with other people, and it was rather coy, sort of, then when I actually started doing that with other people, I realised how exciting it was, and working with other people too, which was, I think, the main thing, rather than working alone, and actually creating stuff with other people, and that sort of really was it, I think.
So would that be when you really felt you developed a confidence in yourself to be able to write songs and create music? Yeah,
it was a combination, I think, playing with other people, and then the actual performance thing. It is a real buzz when you're performing and people respond. It's it sort of does start to hook you in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's the appreciation, and also just the doing. I think performing is a buzz as well. Yeah.
Who were the first songwriters that really started to inspire you to want to take up writing yourself?
I think during art school, listening to Joni Mitchell, funnily enough. She's remained an inspiration, because she wasn't, to me, a conventional writer. She was really, it's not sort of a pop sound. It was kind of inspiring just to hear her, and Talking Heads, those sort of things that I was listening to at the time that remained, because they were a little bit offbeat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and then later Sinead O'Connor, just because she was to me, so moving, and she expressed herself, in a way that was really quite dynamic. So they're the ones that sort of stayed with me, I think.
Just talk about Martha's Vineyard. That was a rather quiet break-up there. One minute you were here, next minute you were gone. Well, what sort of happened there?
Yeah. It sort of happened, I think, for myself, I wasn't really very adaptable to the whole commercial side of things. And that sort of took its toll, I think. So it may have appeared that one minute we were there and the next minute we weren't, but it was a gradual sort of like feeling of being overwhelmed, and I just sort of said, I can't really do this anymore.
Yeah.
And sort of, I think, it was about a year into it, but really the band had been going for like 3.5 years, but a year into the actual commercial sort of side of things, and it was a bit of a self-preservation move for me. If I hadn't have done that, I think I probably would have been forced to anyway, a little bit down the track from there.
So was it basically a fact of what you wanted for the band and what perhaps record company management wanted for the band being two different things?
Yeah, it just became, everything was geared towards selling, and just a lack of balance. There wasn't time anymore to just do the writing and reflecting, which up to that point was quite, a natural sort of gradual thing. So, yeah, it's a bit different now. I think I've actually gathered an interest in the whole industry side and the mechanism of how that all works, because I've had to do it myself. So, yeah, it's rather different now.
If you had that Martha's Vineyard time over again, would you tackle that differently too?
I must say I've had my moments of regretting that, because it was very much like I don't care. I didn't really value what the band had achieved, because it had come so easily, relatively easily. And it's different now, because I'm sort of like, waiting for a break, and I've really been working for something to happen, and it seems like so difficult to achieve. So it's quite a paradox.
We'll talk about the songwriting process for you these days. Have you changed your approach at all to tackling sitting down writing a song, to say, when you first started?
I've tried different ways now, in more of a conscious way in doing that, whereas, as I say, before it was I only really had one way, and that was to pick up a guitar and maybe have a tape deck going and just to play and be very spontaneous, and then come back and rewrite it, sort of thing, and edit it and make it into a song that's more conventional, a song, but now I sort of may start with a lyric or with the intention of writing a song, whereas before, as I say, there was really no conscious intention of writing a song that would be sung again. It was just for the expression purely and only. So it's there's more of a move towards having a sense of what it is to have the craft of songwriting now.
You find you tinker around a lot with your songs and do a lot of editing, or do you usually find you've gone with your first draft?
A bit of both. Sometimes the songs actually sound more. I'm more happy with them, like when there is something of that initial moment. And other times, it just depends, I think, on the song and what fits the song. There's no sort of clear-cut answer to that.
Would you call yourself a prolific writer? Can you really churn them out if you need to?
No, not really.
No?
No, it is very much like I sort of have to spend some time and build it up over time with experience and things that are happening that make the songs worthwhile, rather than just churning them out, sort of thing. Yeah.
You get a lot of inspiration from the environment and surroundings around you, where you are at the time in your writing?
Yeah, it seems that way. It is an experiential thing, and often it is triggered by where I am. And I spent some time in the desert a few years ago visiting a friend, and I found that there's quite a few songs that were inspired by that, and it continues to be, I think, very much my environment, and see reflections on where I am, sort of thing, very much, yeah.
And how do you cure the dreaded songwriter's block, if you ever do get it?
I think that sort of, it's hard to do that because I do find myself sometimes repeating myself, and it's not really until I do a little bit of living and I have something more worthwhile to say again. It's not something you can just sort of cure, with a cure like that. It just sort of, sometimes if I haven't written for quite a while, I find that I just have the urge that I need to sit down and pick up my guitar and do some singing, and then, maybe a whole lot of stuff will come out, and it's sort of like an itch. I have to sit down and do that. I can't resist it.
You mentioned earlier that you're out there again trying to rekindle some recognition and get back into the swing of things there. You're finding it particularly harder these days in this country for a singer-songwriter like yourself to gain that recognition, say in comparison to a promising band?
It is a difficult climate, I think, at the moment, and I don't feel that I'm the only one that's finding that. It's sort of I'm at the point now where I feel, in a way, to make any real moves, I've got to really physically remove myself. Looking sort of at Europe at the moment, just purely because of the size of, let's see, the audiences, and in a way I think Australia is really needing, just to have that diversity, because it's such a small place relatively. Other people also, that have been to Europe say that just because of the the actual cultural heritage, there's a lot more sort of scope in that as well. Especially, I think, for just fashion and everything, it's kind of limited. So unfortunately, that sort of seems like the only way to really break through a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So has there been any overseas interest as yet in your work?
There has been some. Say with Martha's Vineyard as well. There'd been some good reviews with that album when I went overseas, just to promote that at that stage. I don't know. You can't really tell until you go. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
What about the solo stuff? Nothing as yet?
Well, I haven't really tried,
mm-hmm.
but I just get the impression that there's more depth to the whole thing, the industries overseas. So can't tell till you go.
That's right. Never know till you try.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Revival, the current EP.
Okay.
What period of time did the songs on there cover?
I actually have one song there called Infatuation, which was one of the first songs I wrote that I played with Martha's Vineyard, that I redid. And let's see, the other songs, there's another 5. Some of them are from when I went to the desert, as I mentioned, sort of around 1990. And Cool Rain, which is the last song I wrote when I was in the Blue Mountains, so it covers a range.
Yeah, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also a range of musical styles, not only on that but on the previous album as well. Is that something that's particularly important to you, to have that musical versatility there on record?
Yeah, I sort of did that quite deliberately because I think it's good to just have a bit of scope within an album. I know I enjoy that as a someone listening to someone else's work as well. I did want to do that.
The light and shade.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the players on the EP and their backgrounds.
Okay, let's see, where should I start? Well, Buzz Bidstrup, who produced the album, he played percussion and drums, and he also had a bit of a hand at just mucking around on guitar. He's got a great style because he's a left-hander and he plays the guitar upside down, so he sort of tends to play a lot of the high strings instead of the lower sort of chunky strings, so I really like that. And let's see, double bass, I've got Deb Anderson, who I was working with live, and I do still sometimes, and she's a great player. I just sort of found her through a friend. And the piano accordion has got Svetlana, and she's pretty new on the scene. She's in a band called Monsieur Camembert in Sydney, which is like a gypsy jazz band, and I sort of found her through a friend as well from Perth, who came to live in Sydney, and he's in that band as well. And we gone on really well musically straight away, just with a couple of plays, and she just added a great flavour to the songs. Woman Child, which is all acoustic, and the first song, Phoenix, I think she really made that for me, as well as Warwick Factor, who I played with, who when Shine was first released, he came on tour with me there, played electric bass. He's a really funky player, and works with an outfit called The Lab here in Sydney, and he's always really great to play with because he's so adept. He just sort of came on board for that recording and virtually played it on the spot, which really overwhelmed me, actually. Such a good player. Let's see, electric guitar. A guy called Chris Rodenrees, he's a bit of a find as well. He's a great guitar player. So, all in all, I've sort of just managed to find the people that I needed for the moment on the recording, and it sort of all came together so well, just as I decided that I wanted to do it and finish it, because Buzz was getting less and less time on his hands in a way, because he's managing, and so I decided to sort of click together and happen, so I was kind of lucky.
Did you approach the recording process any differently to, say, the Shine album? Anything you wanted to do differently?
Well, quite differently in the sense that I had to be a lot more economic. It was a project that I funded myself, and Buzz sort of helped me out a lot by offering his time and ideas, but it had to be a lot more organised, because I didn't, I sort of had a time constraint and also a budgetary constraint. So I had to be a lot more sort of, conscious about how to do everything in that limited time frame.
Did you involve yourself in the production process much, or did you kind of just sit back and leave that to Buzz?
Did a fair bit of four-tracking beforehand, so that I knew, again, what we were going to do in the studio, so it would be a bit, we wouldn't be wasting so much time. But I think, Buzz had a fair idea of how to pull it together, and we did work on the songs a lot before it sort of went together. So I think, it was a combination. I kept my hand sort of in there and the final word. But with Buzz's experience and that sort of thing, I think, I really sort of had to let him sort of take the reins a bit at times.
Is that something you might like to tackle down the track, though, and get more involved in your own production? Yeah,
most definitely, as I understand the process better and what's possible, or even just, to sort of have ideas and say, I want this, how do I get that? And, try different producers. So, you learn every time. So with Masters Vineyard, for example, I had absolutely no idea, and that was very much the other players and Nick Mainsbridge who sort of produced that. So each time I think I have a better idea of what's involved and get more active in the process, so it's good.
Yeah. As an artist recording, are you comfortable in the studio environment? You happy there?
Yeah, I get more. Again, it's with each time I feel more happy about what's going to happen and how I want it to sort of proceed. So it's a great process. It's sort of like some of it you do have to give up because of the technical, side of it. It's not like painting where you've got your hands on all the time and it's your total, the outcome is really up to you. And a bit like just letting it happen in a way as well. But just because of the physical side of it, it's that much different, and that's kind of nice too. You just really don't know until the end what it's going to be. It's a bit of an unknown quantity in there as well.
Now, talk about your live work. Are you playing primarily solo or with a backup these days?
It's been primarily solo over the last 12 months, but I've just met a really great keyboard player that I intend working with sort of as a duo and maybe bringing on some hand percussion, like there's some djembe players I'd like to work with, so it'll sort of be a combination of the three, I think, from now.
And over the years, do you feel your on-stage persona has changed much at all?
Yeah, it really has had to, because I've worked solo a lot and in smaller settings. It's had to become a lot more honest in a way. Like, it's easy when I reflect on how quickly things happen with the band. I remember I used to be playing quite big auditoriums, like say entertainment centres to thousands of people, and it's kind of easy to just forget about the whole audience rapport thing and just play and rely on production to sort of bring the whole thing across. Whereas in a smaller setting, you really have to, be there for people, and that's really taught me a lot. I think, the whole sort of actually playing to people and having some engagement has been a big challenge. And making it work for the music itself, and not built up from the whole hype factor. So it's been a really big education for me.
What's the live scene up there in Sydney like these days? Pretty healthy?
It goes through phases for me because I've sort of taken on the whole booking side of things as well. I'm doing the one person show as it goes. So it's not always that let's see, there's not that much going on at the moment, especially in winter.
Yeah. I'm
holed up at home talking to you, John. Yeah, there's
well, it's not a paid gig, but it's a gig.
Yeah, of course, I'm not putting it down, I'm enjoying this. But there's not that much going on in Sydney, I don't think.
Yeah.
Melbourne sounds much healthier, actually.
Yeah, there's plenty down here. Yeah, and it's still quite active in the winter too.
Oh, right.
Surprisingly enough. So, hopefully, what are your plans for later in the year, and do they include a trip down south?
Yes, I definitely am getting to Melbourne. And I've got friends that are sort of moving down that way too, which makes it even more enticing. So, to, let's see, work in with this keyboard player, and I'm also looking at doing like a whole festival run as well, looking at Port Fairy and that sort of thing. So I'd say within the next 12 months I'd definitely like to get down that way. It'd be great.
Right, now, Revival's the EP now. Is that just being sold through your own resources there, or is there a distribution deal happening, or what's happening there?
Yeah, at the moment it's a mail order thing, and I'm selling it on my website. I'm looking at some distribution, still sort of in the works. What else am I doing? Yeah, and at gigs it's a bit limited at the moment.
Yeah.
Until I sort that out. But yeah, you never know. Talking to a few people, so hopefully something will happen there.
Okay. Well, I've got the web address here, and I'll be sure to give this out when this goes to air, so everyone will know, and they can get in touch. I hope you get a flood of orders from down south.
That'd be fantastic.
Listen, thanks for your time, Peggy. It's been a treat talking to you.
Oh, good.
Good to hear you're alive and well, and hopefully we will see you down here before the year's out.
Great. Thanks, John.
Best of luck with the revival.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.